Good afternoon, vinyl community. Hi, how are we going? How's everybody doing? It's a wonderfully humid afternoon here in the UK on a Sunday afternoon. I thought I'd get a video in before I disappear on to my annual holiday. Seems like a long time. It seemed weird, just the concept of thinking on going on holiday, because the one we had earlier in the year was obviously cancelled. But yeah, looking forward to having a few days away and change from the norm, as they say. So why am I here? Well, this is to celebrate Rachel, the Musicmam, and she's got a contest entry which she's charged us to enter, which is "You Say It's Your Birthday." And she's asked us in the first instance um, to come out with a musician or singer who was born on your birthday. Okay, now hitherto to this competition, it's something I'd kind of never really looked into or thought about that much, and I didn't know. So good old Google came into its own, and I managed to actually discover that there are two singers who were born on my birthday. My birthday happens to be January the 24th. Okay, so the first one was a gentleman by the name of Ray Stevens, who's a country pop singer. Apparently, I wasn't familiar with him, although when I looked up some of his discography and his some of his songs, I realised that he'd written two of his most famous songs. There's one called Misty, another one called Everything Is Beautiful, both of which I had heard, but I wouldn't, if you'd have asked me who wrote that or who sung it, either of those, I wouldn't have had a clue. So yeah, that was an education. The second one, though, needs no introduction. I was very, very familiar with this guy. It's actually Neil Diamond. So yeah, again, like Ray, I don't have any Neil in my collection, either on any format actually. But yeah, obviously familiar with Crackling Rosie and Song Sung Blue and all those kind of classics. A couple of favourites of mine that he did were I think it was from Pulp Fiction. Was it The Urge Overkill? Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon. I always loved that one. I thought it was a cracking song. Crackling Rosie is obviously a sparkling pop song, one of his greatest efforts. And obviously then I'm a Believer, which he wrote for the Monkees. Again, a great, great, great pop song. So yeah, that was interesting, and now I know who was born on my birthday. So and then the other flip side of that was that she asked the slightly more morbid question of who died on your birthday. So again, not a clue about any of these, although a few of them, some of the names are sort of notorious, I guess. Okay, let's start from the top. None of these, unfortunately, are singers or musicians, or not officially anyway. Maybe they played in some capacity, but maybe not particularly accomplished at what they were doing. Anyway, so I digress. But yeah, so all these people apparently died on my birthday of January the 24th. So first one we have is Winston Churchill. And then we have Ted Bundy, the serial killer. Okay. Caligula, a Roman emperor. Larry Fine, the comic. Chris Penn, obviously actor and brother of Sean. And then L. Ron Hubbard, the author and founder of the Church of Scientology. He apparently died on January the 24th. So there you go. So, but unfortunately, none of them musical, as I say, not in the official capacity anyway. So, okay. So moving on. Rachel also asked us to talk about music that our parents were into. Um, and yeah, so I'll do that because my parents were a huge influence, as well as my brother, but on different kinds of music, of course, from an older generation. But yeah, I mean, still stuff that I love to listen to today, and definitely influenced the way that I was going to go with my taste. So um, yeah, okay. So I've got a mixed bag of sort of vinyl and CDs here. Okay, so my mum and dad were very much into musicals, and yeah, these are two favourites of theirs in particular. So we've got Fiddler on the Roof there. Um, this is this is actually the soundtrack from the movie version of that, but they actually went to see this on stage. In fact, I think they went to see this a couple of times actually. So you got obviously Topol there in that. When I was a rich man, fabulous stuff. And then of course Hair. I absolutely love this. Um, yeah, they went to see this in 1968 when this came out, and I mean, I think it blew their minds then. Just like nudity and stuff, people running into the audience, sort of naked, and just they'd never seen anything like it. And yeah, I guess it must have been pretty revolutionary for the times. But yeah, great songs, Aquarius, um, Frank Mills, yeah, Breathe in the Air, Let the Sun Shine In. Superb, great stuff. Okay, and then they both were quite heavily into sort of vocal jazz, and that kind of classic, sort of certainly from the 50s. So their mum and dad used to play a lot of this, Nat King Cole, um, again that I still love now, Nature Boy. Uh, it's just fab. Autumn Leaves. What else is on here? Impossible, Unforgettable, Sweet Lorraine. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Yeah, uh, used to hear that playing when I was younger. These were particularly special for me. I absolutely love these, and these are a great favourite, certainly of my mum. And this is Ella Fitzgerald, and these are the Cole Porter songbooks. This is volume 1 and 2. It took me a while to actually find these. These aren't the originals that my mum and dad have. Sadly, they've got lost over the years of moving and so on. But yeah, these were a couple that I found in fairly quick succession, and they were in really, really nice condition. And yeah, I mean, just absolutely just wonderful. I mean, Cole Porter's one of the greatest songwriters of the 20th century. I Love Paris, Love for Sale, Night and Day, Every Time We Say Goodbye. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. That's another one that I've got, which is the Irving Billing songbook. Yeah, equally, if as good as her renditions of Cole Porter stuff. So yeah, Peggy Lee was another one that my parents really liked, and I used to listen to as well. Again, their influence definitely on me with that lovely kind of sultry, smooth kind of sound. Obviously, a lot of storytelling as well in kind of with Peggy Lee, which is always really nice. Yeah, I've got a few of hers. Really like Peggy Lee. But yeah, and then obviously classical. My dad was really into. My dad in particular was into his classical. As Rimsky-Korsakov, that was a real. Scheherazade, this is a real favourite of his. I can remember him playing this when I was younger, and we actually played some of that at his funeral as well. So very poignant. Peer Gynt, Grieg, wonderful Norwegian composer. You love that. Real favourite of mine as well. Morning, Zia's Death, Hall of the Mountain King. just wonderful, unforgettable music. Beethoven, particularly the Symphony 7, my dad really loved as well. He really loved a lot of that kind of period of classical. Mozart, Beethoven, was very, very into that. Um, yeah, but he also liked some more contemporary stuff as well. And I think that's the great thing about my parents. They're very, very open-minded with music, and they'll listen to anything if there's a good melody and it's got a great lyric. Particularly my mum always thinks that lyrics are really, really important in songs. She likes to listen to the lyrics really, really carefully. But yeah, this was definitely a favorite of my dad's. He loved David Bowie. So we've got Hunky Dory there. He really enjoyed this album, particularly Life on Mars. I think probably because of the orchestration on there and that kind of big cinematic kind of sound. I think he really liked that. Really appealed to him. But this was his all-time favorite, Space Oddity. Particularly the songs Wild-Eyed Boy from Free Cloud and the title track. He loved, absolutely loved that. It was probably one of his all-time favorites. And yeah, it was a perennial favorite. My brother and I always used to play that at Christmas, or attempt to play it. We were usually quite drunk at the time. But yeah, my dad always enjoyed it. So yeah, and another one that well, my brother and I actually played this on the guitar at his funeral. Sorry, I'm trying not to make this too morbid. I do apologise, but it's just obviously just putting it into context. So, but yeah, it's weird. It's like my dad always said that a funeral should be a celebration of life, and I think now when I listen to this, that's kind of how I that's how I interpret it. It's a celebration of his life because he loved that music and he loved the song, and yeah, it's just great to have that kind of those go-to records that you can put on and they're special for whatever reason. And yeah, that one certainly is. So yeah. A couple more. My dad loved a lot of humor in music as well. He was a big fan of the Goons and so on. But he also loved this guy. I think I've shown him before in an earlier video. This is Tom Lehrer, who's an American pianist. But he was first and foremost a Harvard lecturer, I think, in maths, I believe. Very, very clever guy. And wrote these amazingly witty, articulate songs that were kind of satire on, I guess, politics and famous people from literature. I think anybody he targeted, and did it very, very well, and with a lot of humour and wit, and very clever. I think the song "The Elements." I think Daniel Radcliffe, who played the Harry Potter, I think famously used to be able to recite that and rattle that off. Certainly, it might have helped my dad when he was at college because he trained to be a pharmacist. He might have used that and to help him learn the periodic table. I don't know. I never asked him, but we played that again at his funeral, just to sort of lighten the mood and to give everybody, I guess, put a smile on everybody's face as they were leaving, which I thought was appropriate. I think my dad would have liked that. But there you go. So yeah. And then, of course, this one, which was an album of my mum's, that my brother and I discovered when we were younger, Beatles Oldies but Goldies. This definitely put me on the road to getting into pop music, or at least the pop music of the time, because it certainly wasn't at the time when I listened to it, because it was probably I was 7 or 8, good 8, 9, 10 years after this had come out. But the songs were just, I'd never heard anything like the Beatles before. They were, had a huge influence, and because I just loved it straight away. Loved the variety of the songs. From She Loves You to sort of Paperback Writer, and just incredible. So another one from my parents that definitely influenced my tastes, and so on going forward. Okay, so that's it. I'd just like to obviously, because Rachel's asked if we can do some shout outs, so I'm going to do the usual suspects, but I'll also put 1 or 2 new ones in there as well. So obviously there's Shannon D, who's just fantastic. VCer, she's doing an amazing series on Joni Mitchell, and she's going through her entire discography. I'm really enjoying that. And then obviously John Baggy Hi-Fi, I haven't shouted him out for a while. He's from here in the UK. He's got a great channel, very eclectic taste, but likes a lot of psych and shows some really interesting kind of strange compilations and so on, and stuff I'd not heard before. So it's well worth going over there and checking John out. Vinyl Dale, of course, Simon, Search for the Holy Grail, lovely guy. Him and his sidekick Elmit, who is becoming a real star of, I think, of the VC, and it's just wonderful kind of comic, little comic asides that he does there. That's a great channel. Rob Walker, of course, Let the Music Play. Love Rob. Richard McCook, of course, who's himself done some great competitions, recently well surpassed 500 subs, and is probably going to be on his way to 1,000 very, very soon. So always happy to shout those guys out. Alan Static Traveller, wonderful channel, always happy to watch his, and occasionally peck in on his live streams that he does. Rob Sounds Strange in Spain, wonderful. Doing a lot of jazz, 4000 Blue Note 4000 series. I've mentioned this before. So, and then a fairly new one to me was Mark Wold, the Vinyl Crush, in the US. Very happy to have discovered his channel. We've kind of found out that we've got some quite similar tastes and crossover, so that's been interesting watching each other's videos. He's got a lovely relaxed way about his delivery, and he lives by all accounts a really interesting life. He's into rock climbing and surfing. I believe he's surfed for most of his adult life. So interesting guy, worth going over and checking as well. So that's it, guys. That's a wrap, I think. So just coming up to 20 minutes. But hope you all have a great rest of the weekend. And if you're going on holiday anywhere, stay safe. Obviously, it goes without saying. Have a great time. And I'll see you guys all very, very soon. So take care. All the best. Bye-bye.